Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glugway podcast, the Glugway My Night podcast, I should say, with Kyle and Brushy. And it's a great result and performance at Old Trafford. United were simply scintillating in the first half and really should have battered Everton by 4 or 5 today. But as is typical of United this season, the goals were lacking and we only ended up winning 2-0. This is why we have a goal difference of +7 when all the teams around us have much more than that. Um, so I gotta say I'm pleased with the performance. Just disappointed we didn't score more goals, and it was one of those kind of afternoons. So how did you see it, Brush?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a scintillating performance in that first half, like you mentioned. I was quite apprehensive going into this one, actually. The short turnover from the Brentford game and the fact that we don't usually do that well in the 12:30 kickoff. So yeah, the way we started was amazing. Yeah, like you say, we should have put them to bed in the first half. Really, so many chances created. Wan-Bissaka, I mean, it was probably harder to do what he did than it was to find the back of the net. Um, Apart from that one chance that Sims had, I don't think they really tested us either. Lots of positives. I know De Gea has come in for some criticism in some quarters for his distribution. Some of the balls to Anthony today I thought were superb. And he really should have done a bit better today. He had one or two chances. He was an absolute menace down that right hand side, getting one on one with the keeper and that. What did you make of it?
Yeah, there's so much to discuss there. Like you mentioned, Wan-Bissaka, that's definitely miss of the season. I mean, what was he even doing in that position? If all the people for the rebound to fall to.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, isn't it? He's one of the least, least likely that you want it to fall to. I thought he did really well actually to stay on side. He did the hard part well.
Yeah, just didn't execute the finish. But
Yeah.
you know, before we got the first goal, this game was starting to remind me of Portsmouth in 2008. Just
Mm.
chance after chance after chance, and
Do
then
you know what? It's funny you mentioned that because that is exactly what it reminded me of. Because we absolutely bombarded them that day, and at the end of it, I was scratching my head as to how the hell we lost.
thankfully it wasn't one of them days today. We eventually
Yeah.
got the breakthrough through Scott McTominay, and today Scott was giving it away quite a lot in midfield as he does, but he seems to be lethal in front of goal, like we've seen for Scotland recently and today
Mm.
for United. Is there a case to be made for Scotty to go up front? What do you think, Brush?
I'm not sold on that just yet. Um, and talking of that, it's a fantastic time for Martial to come back. I just hope that he stays injury free. I heard the commentator say something like, I think it's been 26 months since he completed 90 minutes. So that tells you all you need to know about him.
Yeah, someone in my company was saying that Martial coming back is fantastic right now because of Rashford seems to have a hamstring injury, which is a disaster. Um,
Yeah.
but my comeback to that was Martial could be injured at any moment. It could be in training, it could be in the warm up, it could be during the game. So not getting my hopes up on that one. Great to see Martial back on the score sheet though. If he could stay fit between now and the end of the season, then that'll be a major boost to us with or without Rashford. So
Absolutely. Even as a super sub, really, if he can, even if you could just give us half an hour in games, he's a player that can be impactful. But yeah, injuries is the main thing, isn't it? Otherwise, I think we all know that he's probably the best we have. The alternative being Weggy.
yeah, I think if Weggy and Martial are on the bench, Martial's always going to come on first, isn't he?
Yeah.
Weggy only come on when Rashford pulled up. Um, you know, a 2-0, I think he should have taken Rashford off to protect him, and in the end, he kept him on. He's ended up getting that injury. Who
Mm.
knows how long he's going to be out for now? And that's it's the wrong time of the season to lose your most important forward. But quite often, though, Rashford looks badly injured and then he comes back for the next game. So
Yeah,
that
he's
wouldn't
quite
shock me.
resilient, isn't he? The only positive I can take away is that obviously immediately he knew something was wrong, and he called to the bench. So I'm hoping it was a preventative measure, so it's not too bad. But time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, even if he only misses one game, that wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens there. But a real positive on the injury front is the return of Ericsson, and already was showing us class
Hmm.
in that wee cameo that he had. How brilliant is it to have Ericsson back in the team?
Absolutely, like yeah. This squad is built on that midfield of Casemiro and Eriksen, and that's the other positive as well. He's seen out the last of his band now, so he's back in the fold as well. Yeah, it was lovely to see Eriksen. My only concern was that it's probably a bit too early to really see him, because I know initially I think they said it was towards the end of April, isn't it, that he'll be back. So he's ahead of schedule. Yeah, nice for him to build up match fitness and that. Um, in this game in particular, I did worry about Ericsson and Martial coming on because I expected Everton to be quite physical.
And they were. I mean, when it was 2-0, Everton were flying into some challenges, and there was
Yeah.
clearly there was a lot of frustration there. Um, but Ericsson again, just spraying the ball left and right, just really what we've missed. We threw balls over the top. He's just such a creative player. He's just like our Modric, if you like.
Oh, and I'll
Just
tell you what, Carl, how good was Sabitzer as well in his further forward position?
we're going to get onto it. We're going to get onto it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the last game of Casemiro suspension, and Ericsson is back. So want to see them two partner each other, even if it's not on Thursday night, then hopefully at Forest, because and then
Yeah.
definitely for the FA Cup semi final, we're going to need our best team against Brighton in
Oh,
that game.
absolutely. Because Brighton, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I'd fancy them. I could be totally wrong here. By the time this day is over, I could look like a Wally. But Brighton, I fancy them to beat Spurs today. If I'm being honest with you,
Mm.
could be totally wrong about that. But let's see.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I don't think you're very far off of that comment. The way they're playing, it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit.
yeah. So as you mentioned it, Sabitzer playing at the number 10 for the second game in a row. I thought he was decent there on
Mm.
Wednesday, but improved today. He played even better. I thought. I love that ball that he played in for Bruno, where he had the header that was tipped over by Pickford. Um, yeah, and he obviously created that goal the other night for Rashford. Yeah, and it seems to be the way forward. Because not only is Sabitzer excelling at number 10, but Bruno was excelling in that deeper role. I thought he was absolutely magnificent in that deep role today. Those balls that he was playing out to Anthony and Sancho were absolutely brilliant, weren't they?
Very much so, very much so. And we saw it against Brentford too, when he was a bit deeper. And it's nice. It's some of the things that we've been calling for a little while. If he just, simplified certain parts of his game and showed a bit of discipline, and we're starting to see that now. So I think we have to credit the coach as well there with him.
Yeah, he got player of the match by BT, Bruno Fernandes, and deservedly so. He created a lot of those chances that you mentioned that Anthony had, where he didn't put them away.
Yep.
A lot of those were down to Bruno balls over the top. So interesting. When everybody's fit in midfield, what is it going to look like? What positions are people going to play in? We know Casemiro will be the CDM, but who's going to play alongside him and who's going to play a number 10? There's going to be lots of options now, isn't there? With everybody
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
back.
There's a lot of versatility. You can move people about. The only one really who's just one-sided is probably Anthony, isn't it? Everybody else you can kind of move shift about.
Yeah, that's the thing with Anthony. He's a bit. I think Pickford had been watching clips of Anthony because he
Mm.
knew that he was going to aim for the far post. Can he not
Hmm.
shoot to the near post for once?
I'll tell you what. Against Brentford the other night, I was well chuffed when he actually went on the outside and put a cross in.
Mm, for
For,
McTominay.
for for McTominay, yeah, it was a great shot as well. It was unlucky to not test the keeper.
And he did something similar in this game, Anthony. I think he crossed the ball with his right foot. I think it got a
Mm.
deflection of a defender.
But in this one, I
Um,
was just really
but
impressed overall with the passing in general. Just a little one-two touches, very neat and tidy. Yeah, it was very promising from Sancho as well. I thought he looked very lively today.
yeah, and he got the assist for McTominay's goal. Nice wee delicate ball into McTominay, lovely weighted. Um, I think Sancho improved today, but I think there's much more to come.
Oh
Not
yeah, yeah. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But I think this is what we should expect from him. He's never been and is not going to be one of these wingers that just takes people on and beats them on the outside. But today, with the one-two touch, intricate passing, the little cutting inside, that's his game.
Yeah, and he likes to come central, doesn't he?
Yeah. And
So
as we, as Ten Hag shifts towards a more possession-based game, I think that will allow him to excel, and we'll see his best qualities.
yeah, for sure. And Wan-Bissaka, another really good game I thought, apart from the open goal miss. Um,
Yeah, and even that, I mean, it's Wamby, isn't it? So how much can we really blame him for that?
yeah, magnificent defensively, but I think he
Yeah,
doesn't get enough credit for how good he is on the ball.
yeah, it's
Um,
true. I think it was once we took the 2 goal lead. It was as the game was dying down, like the little 1-2s and the way he was passing it around. Yeah.
yeah, and the wee chops to get away from the defenders.
Hmm.
I remember he sat down Rodri in that game. I'll always remember that, and he was doing a
I
wee bit
tell
more
you
of that
what,
today.
I'll tell you what, Carl. Like, who would have thought at the start of the season, we'd be here with our right backs? I mean, if one of them moves on, I think it might be Dallo.
Mhm. Well, that's what I said on the previous show.
Mm,
If I had to choose one, it would be to stay. It would be Wan-Bissaka and move Dallo on.
yeah, only because because he offers something different. Because we know how solid he is defensively. Um, and I know
Yeah,
there's been a lot of links to Frimpong. And from
yeah.
what I've seen of him, it's almost like having another winger. Like he bombs forward, but defensively, not great.
Yeah, that's why I liked the idea of having Wan-Bissaka and Frimpong, because they are
Hmm.
exact opposites,
Yeah.
and that would be a good balance to have.
In an
I think
ideal world, I'd love to just unite them and turn them into one player, but that's probably asking
mm,
for too much.
there's not too many of those around.
Not too many of those.
I tell you one who is a magnificent right back, and that's Kieran Trippier. I think he
Mm,
can definitely be in the PFA team of the season in that position.
hmm.
Yeah, he's a really good all rounder.
Yeah,
Um,
very good. Very tiny price as well. Newcastle got him for in that January transfer window. I remember that summer. I think we made inquiries, but Atletico quoted us the release clause, which was like 40
yeah,
million,
and
which was
The Man United tax, yeah.
which was ridiculous for someone who's 30 going on 31. Well, who was going on 31 at the time.
Eagle-eyed football. Thanks for beating Everton. We're doing all kinds of favors. We could do more favors next week because we're playing Forest. So let's see how that one goes. Um,
Yeah, yeah, defo.
here's here's what made me laugh during the week. I had a text from a Leeds fan saying, "Please beat Everton." So now Leeds want us to win. Can you believe that? I never thought I would have seen the day, but needs must
It's
and all that.
it's it's so tight down there at the bottom of half of the table. Anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy. From like 13th to 20th, they're all in and around like the same points. It's madness.
Yeah, it's
Um,
absolutely mental. And talking of mental, this is a total sidebar, but can you believe that Frankie Lampard is back at Chelsea?
yeah. No, I can't. But
The world's gone mad.
I think it's because they can't get their first choice options right now, and they've had to
Yeah,
come
because
up
I'll
with this
tell you
new.
what, I was stressing when I heard that Luis Enrique had flown in to talk to him, and then the next morning it's Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
Happy days.
I think Enrique will probably take over in June though.
Yeah,
Or
probably. But what we have to do is we have to hope that he goes on like a Ollie type interim run,
yes, yes, yes,
and then Todd just hands him a long term contract.
yes, absolutely. I'm all for that. Yeah.
That would be good. So that time somebody else experienced that.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. So Sabitzer, yeah, at number 10. I wouldn't mind him continuing in that role, but now as the options increase in midfield, it'd be interesting to see what he does. So when everybody's Spitzer obviously come in January to cover the loss of Ericsson. Now they're both going to be available now, and everybody in midfield looks like they're going to be available for the next game. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. So if everyone's available in midfield, what's your three? Who do you select?
Oof. It's difficult, isn't it? All of a sudden we have options, and it's so nice to be able to say that. See, it's probably too small of a sample size to judge, but I've been very impressed with what Sabitza's doing further forward. So I'd probably go um, Ericsson, Cass, and Sabitzer, and
Mm,
but then that means you'd have to play Bruno outright.
yeah. Well, he's done that before, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Because Bruno,
Because
you can't really leave Bruno out of the team.
no,
Um,
definitely not on today's evidence.
no, no. So yeah, that's the yeah. Otherwise, it would have to be. I
Well,
don't even know
the,
because he's impressing in that deeper role now, isn't he?
yeah, and there's so many games though we can rotate as well in midfield, which is
I
great.
mean, that's what we hope, but Ten Hag probably won't see it that way.
But we'll find out whose first choice is in the semi-final of the cup at Wembley. Whoever
Yeah.
he, if everybody's available, it'll be very, very intriguing to
Hmm.
see what three starts that game in midfield. But as you say, he could opt for Sabitzer, Eriksson, and Cass, and then play Bruno out right to accommodate them all in the team.
Yep.
So there's plenty of options now. But one area where there's not that many options is up front. Martial's great to have him fit and available and scoring today.
Hmm.
Um, Rashford's obviously got injured now. Don't know how long he's going to be out, and Vegi's been hopeless in recent weeks. He come on to replace Rashford when he got injured today. So yeah, if Rashford misses a few games, it'd be brilliant to have Martial there available and fit. But Ten Hag doesn't seem confident at the moment that Martial can actually start games.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't think anyone is, are they? Yeah. All I can say is, on paper, it's a fantastic time for him to be back. We could really use him. But yeah, it's anyone's guess how long he stays injury free for. Just have to
yeah,
hope that he goes on a run.
and it'll improve if he stays fit to the end of the season, scores a few goals. It'll improve his
Mm.
value as well
Hmm.
in the summer when we're trying to, because we're obviously going to have to sell a few players to raise money, and he could be one of
Yeah,
them.
definitely, definitely. Yeah,
Another
I
one of
think
those.
the concern for me is obviously the wages he's on. It's ridiculous. That paired with the injury record, I don't know how many people would be willing to risk it.
I suppose where just to go back to the Alexis Sanchez transfer, the
Hmm.
way Inter Milan compensated for a lower wage packet was to give him a longer contract. So I suppose
Mm.
that is something that a club in Italy, for example, could do.
Also, I think we probably financed part of the wages as well, right? For the initial
Yeah,
length of contract. So I
yeah,
know Martial's got like a year left, so maybe that could be a compromise if an
yeah. I
offer
think
was to come in.
I think Sancho Sanchez was given a slight payoff as well, and then he was given
Yeah.
an extra year at Inter. So hopefully, if Inter come in for Martial, for example, that's something that we could do with them. Yeah, so we can't be. I know people like him. I know there's a lot of United fans are big fans of Martial, and he can
Hmm.
seduce you when he's fit and available and scoring goals. He can seduce you as a fan, but we have to remember he's missed about 2/3 of the season, and that's just not workable.
Yeah.
We need to move him on, I think. And McTominay could be worth money. Newcastle are interested. Maguire could be worth money because he's still an England international. So there are three options there to raise cash in the
Hmm.
summer, and all of them played
And
today.
with Scotty, I've been hearing this week as well that apparently he wants to leave. I mean, considering his age and that, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
He's at an age now where he probably feels he needs first team football elsewhere.
yeah. If you're at Man United, and you're only playing when there's injuries, and when
Hmm.
everybody's fit, you're not going to get many games. But a team like Newcastle, who are also in the top four, or after you, then it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it, as a player?
Yeah, and I know he's baby faced, but I think he's like 26 going on 27 now.
He is, yeah. But yeah, he's like a fox in the box, isn't he? We've seen
Mm.
that in recent weeks for club and country.
Hmm.
I'm not a big fan of him in the center of the pitch because his passing range is just not good enough. But when
Yeah.
he's in the box, he's dangerous. So if Ten Hag was talking down the prospect of him playing up front, but if there comes a situation where we're desperate for a goal, we could throw him up there. Don't like Sociedad. Don't be putting Maguire up front. Put McTominay up front. That's what I would do if we're desperate
Yeah.
in a particular game between now
I'll
and the
tell
end
you
of the
what's
season.
worrying. I probably trust him more than Weggy to score.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's a damn indictment on a guy who's a centre
Yeah.
forward, but it's the truth. Vegi's link-up play is disintegrated as well, so he's not really offering
Mm.
anything at the moment, which is why he had to be dropped for the last two games.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think we've done better since he's been dropped.
yeah, we definitely have. Yeah, we got 6 points, which is exactly what we
Yeah.
wanted, and we
Yeah.
need to
Two
go and
clean sheets as well, which is a huge bonus.
yeah. There's a lot of fixation on De Gea with his feet, which it
Hmm.
does give me the jitters anytime the ball is played to him, or when we start playing the ball out from a goal kick. That worries me, but uh, I'm just
Some of the
I,
criticism I've come
yeah,
across this week, though, Kyle, I think it's a bit
it's-
outlandish.
yeah.
Like that 70-yard kick the other night against Brentford. I don't know how people can blame that on him.
Yeah, I think some people just made their minds up already about De
Hmm.
Gea, and they're sick of him and they want him to be moved on. And other
Yeah.
fans love him and want him to stay. I think I'm
Yeah,
somewhere
no,
in.
listen, yeah, I think you were about to say that you were somewhere in the middle. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
probably there with you. As the game moves on and we know about these possession-based teams and the importance of distribution and those things. But the thing is, for me, uh, there isn't an outstanding candidate out there that I'm just like, yep, that's the guy, go get him, you know? And until there comes a time where we can do that, it's one of those where you make do because there's other fires to put out in this team.
well, it could be enforced because these contract negotiations are continuing for a long, long time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
obviously
because
he's
he's on 375, isn't he? And obviously, there's no way we can continue with that. It's ridiculous.
yeah. I think what's happened is he's willing to take a pay cut, but United are
Yeah,
lowballing him. You know,
yeah,
um,
yeah. I mean, it's one of those really. Uh, if I was the club, I'd probably want him to be on about 150, but 150 is way too low. Too much of a cut from 375. I'd probably start negotiating around 200.
yeah, I think that's fair. That's still a hell of a wage for a
It's still a
goalkeeper,
hell of a
isn't it?
lot of money. Yeah, still a hell of a lot of money. And with this contract, you'd have to, keep in mind that you'd be looking to replace him at some point, you know?
Yeah, and if these contract negotiations break down, then maybe we will have to bring in another goalkeeper. I think I can see this summer being very dramatic, in terms
Yeah.
of incomings and outgoings. I can
I mean,
see.
a lot of it as well, it depends obviously on what happens with the ownership situation. I think that will determine a lot. That will give us an idea of the budget and what we can expect in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. But we still have to comply with the FFP regardless.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, even then I'm not expecting like wholesale changes, which is why I think the likes of De Gea might stick around for a little while yet.
yeah, but there'll be. I can see Maguire, McTominay, and Martial being sold to raise funds. And maybe one or two others, and one of the
Yeah.
right backs probably as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, what did you make of Harry Maguire's performance today?
I thought he was all right today, I thought he was all right. It's one of those, isn't it? Like he just doesn't look comfortable at times. When you see him, he looks like he's about to make a mistake. But I thought he did all right today.
Yeah, I suppose at home to a relegation threatened team
Hmm.
it's a nice type of game where you can bring in someone like Maguire. You don't.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He was an able deputy today. He came in, we kept everyone fresh, and he did his job. We kept a clean sheet. I haven't got any complaints. It's just that sometimes on the eye he looks a bit messy. Some of what he does, but effective
Clumsy,
today. Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what it is. One or two of the forward passes by him, I was impressed by.
Yeah, I noticed that. Played a lovely ball out to Sancho at one point. I think it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was good. I like that.
I think from what I've been reading is that Ten Hag and the coaches admire Maguire's ability on the ball, but think that he's far too slow and
Yeah,
mobile.
he's very slow on the turn, isn't it? That's the trouble.
Yeah, you can't play a high line with Maguire in your back four.
Hmm.
There actually was an occasion in the first half where Everton were on the counter attack, and I thought I think Maguire ended up challenging whoever they are. I think was it a Wobie or someone. I think he was very physical with them, and he was pushing the boundary right to the limits of.
Yeah, yeah, he was. It
Um,
looked like he was about to spear him and that.
yeah, but just in the build up to that incident, Maguire was being caught out for pace, and
Mm.
it was giving me anxiety.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, he was. I mean, if he was any more physical there, and you went into the territory of a VAR having a look at it, he was
Yeah,
very.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really pleased with Malasia as well. Just very solid. He's just a really good kind of 7 out of 10, isn't he, as a fullback?
Yeah, yeah, rock steady Eddie, and you need a few of those in the squad who just come on and just give you a certain level.
Yeah. Graham Souness inexplicably called Casemiro a steady Eddie, which is just complete nonsense. If he
Yeah, that's a bit mad because he's been one of the elites in his position for many years.
Now, if Souness had said Malasia was a steady Eddie, I would have
Mm.
accepted that. That
Hmm.
would be a fair comment. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean the only one. Listen, in the last sort of 5 to 7 years, the only one I'll take over Cass is probably Kimmich.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka is the reason why we have Sabitzer in our team at the moment.
Yeah,
Because they have to play. I
yeah.
think I've even heard rumors that there's kind of politics at play there as well, where the two
Mm,
German internationals have to play,
hmm.
and that's why we have Ryan Gravenberch and Sabitzer haven't been getting that many games. But it's
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's an interesting situation as well in the summertime because I know Gravenberch was very highly rated, and he was the guy at Ajax who kind of replaced Frankie de Jong. So it'll be interesting to see the situation with Gravenberch, if he would be up for grabs potentially, if he feels like he's not going to get game time going forward.
and Sabitzer himself might be available for a very small fee.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that too. So obviously, because Tuchel's there now, I guess we'll have to see what the plans are because he might see Sabitzer in his plans.
But he as well will come under pressure to play the two Germans in midfield. So
Mm,
again, the same problem will arise.
hmm.
So hopefully it'll be to our benefit. I mean, I think the Bayern only pay 16 million euros for Sabitzer. Uh, I
Yeah.
imagine they'll charge us something similar. They couldn't justify charging us more, given that he's not a regular in their team.
Hmm.
So yeah, if he's available for that price, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if that's the price, then yeah, brilliant. But I am aware that they intentionally didn't put a buy option in, and I'm guessing that's because if he does well, then they can charge more, right?
Yeah, probably. But even if it's only a little bit more,
Hmm.
it's still worth it. Um, yeah, so I'm really happy with what he's producing at the moment. Yeah, and there's a reason why he was RB Ailes captain and Bayern signed him.
Mm,
I knew we're going to be getting an intelligent footballer. I knew we weren't going to be signing another Fred or McTominay. I knew he was going to have a
yeah,
bit of class about him, and that's exactly what we've seen. So absolutely delighted with the performance today. But just a wee bit annoyed that we didn't get more goals. But
hmm.
you can't say I'm too
And
surprised.
and on that with Savitzer as well, I think another thing I noticed, players who started out as wingers, who then sort of convert more centrally, are quite intelligent as well, and they have a better understanding of the game.
Yeah, and Schweinsteiger was one of those too.
Yeah, yeah. Schweinsteiger was one of those. Owen Hargreaves was another one of those.
And we signed them all.
Yeah, yeah. It was unfortunate with Owen because obviously, Fergie's a bit stubborn when he gets an idea into his head, and we wanted him the year before he came, and he picked up a serious injury and he stuck with it. I think he was hoping for another Van Nistelrooy type situation, when he failed his medical the first time round, and we waited a year.
Yeah, it didn't work out in the long term, but
Mm.
the one season where Hargreaves played an awful lot of games was the season where we won the
Well, the
Champions
Champions
League.
League and the league, yeah, he was
Yeah,
brilliant. He was brilliant. It was really unfortunate that we didn't get more out of him.
yeah. I think he even deputized it right back
Mm.
in that season as well. So he
Hmm.
was versatile. So it's just unfortunate that his career didn't really last much longer than that season. It was
Yeah, real
remember
shame.
that remember that game where um was it he started against Wolves in 2010 just out of nowhere, and then
Hmm.
he pulled up and Bebe had to come on to replace him. You remember that? And
Yeah, yeah,
that's when
yeah,
we knew his career was over at that point.
yeah. Listen, I knew it was over when he was doing YouTube training videos.
Yeah,
Do you remember that? Trying to get a contract. I think he ended up at Man City for like a season. Um, not sure how much he played for them, but yeah.
yeah, he did. Yeah, but I don't think he played that many games. I think he played
Mm.
like in League Cup games and stuff. So Varane got another rest today. I seen that coming because he played 2 games in 3 days, and you always want to protect him from muscular injuries.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, definitely. So that's definitely something we're going to look at in the summer as well. I think Maguire will be moved on, and because of age, we'll probably try and get someone younger in the rotation.
I think we might be forced to sign a centre back this summer because I think I watched that press conference where that Lindelof did when he was away with Sweden, and he
Hmm.
seemed to be indicating that he wants to play football. So that could be an issue in the
Again,
summer.
like he's another one. He's 28 now, isn't he? So yeah, he's probably thinking, yeah, the next 3 4 years, I need to be playing first team.
So
Um,
if Maguire and Lindelof moved on, then
mm,
we'd have to sign someone 100%.
yeah, absolutely. And only links I've heard so far, it's obviously very early days. is King Ming Jae at Napoli. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest in him because he's having a wonderful season, and I hear there's a £40 million release clause.
Yeah, and that release clause is very low.
Yeah, in today's market, I mean, it's reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's why Napoli are desperate to open contract negotiations with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and from the players' perspective, I mean, Napoli are having a wonderful season, aren't they? They pretty much wrapped up Serie A, and a few of those players are probably waiting around to see how they progress in the Champions League.
Absolutely, they can focus on the Champions League now because they've obviously switched off a wee bit already.
Oh, the
Because they
4-0
lost
against AC
4-0, yeah,
Milan.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a shock. That come out of nowhere. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a spicy fixture actually because they play each other in the Champions League as well now. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back in that one.
They'll be gunning for revenge in that one, that's for sure.
Mm.
I Napoli will be worth a bet now. If you're a betting man, it'll be worth a bet to win the Champions League now.
Yeah,
Napoli.
yeah. I mean, definitely they won't get a better chance than this to get to the final. The way the draws have fallen, they've got a very good route to the final.
Yeah, because Madrid and Bayern are on the same half of the draw, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. It'll be nice though if someone on their side of the draw wins. Whoever wins out of Napoli and AC, it would be nice to see them go on and win it.
Yeah, I'd love to see a brand new team like Napoli win the Champions League.
Yeah, that would be nice. And if it's AC, I mean, obviously the heritage is already there. I think I'm just a little bit biased because I know Zlatan's there, and it would be nice for him to have a Champions League medal.
Oh yes, he's never won one. Imagine,
He's
yeah,
never won one.
you've never
Yeah.
won a Champions League medal and you win it when you're like 42.
Listen, it all counts. It all counts. It will be magical. Yeah, him and Buffon as well. Buffon's one that's never won it. I think the boat's passed for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it has. Does he still play Buffon?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's still playing. He's like 45, 46, but he's in Serie B. He's in Serie B with Parma, where it all started.
oh yes, yes, mid 40s. That's crazy, isn't
Yeah, yeah.
it? Tom Heaton's injured at the moment, and Jack Butland is the deputy goalkeeper for United. I've
Hmm.
noticed, but I don't see any scenario where he's going to play
But
because
hopefully not. Touchwood. Let's not jinx it.
because every game is important.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's not like the group stage of the Europa League or you're playing the League Cup quarterfinals against the League One side. There's no one of those
Hmm.
games now. Every game is crucial. So I see probably in barring injury, I see De Gea playing every single game now between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a curious case with Jack Butland, because back in the day, I thought he was a pretty good prospect during his Stoke days, even on the cusp of like the England squad. So I don't really know what's happened in his career because he's only 30 now. Um,
29, isn't he?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, he might be 29, going on 30. He's very young for a keeper to just be back up from where he was.
Yeah, who knows what could happen in the summer?
Mm,
Maybe he might even get a chance. You just never know.
mm.
But we could end up signing him permanently, even as a backup, because I'm sure he'll
Oh,
be
that
very.
could definitely happen if he impresses. Because I know his contract is actually up at the end of the season.
Yeah, so it'd be there. It'd be available for free then. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. So he could be our new league run.
I'm sure he'd be aiming for higher than that. Like, um, just so some player ratings then. These will be high today now. De Gea. I don't think he was even needed today, was he?
No, no, he wasn't. He wasn't really tested at all.
6 then. Wan-Bissaka would get a 7.5 from me.
Mm,
Maguire, I'll give him a 7. Martinez, brilliant again. You know, he's almost our best attacker and best defender at the same time in certain games. And I think he's just, you know, you know how much confidence he gives me? You see, I hate it when we're passing it around the back, but you see, when he's in possession, I always feel
hmm.
comfortable. And I never think that he's going to give it away or play a sloppy ball. So 8 for Martinez, Malacia, a solid 7. McTominay, a 7, definitely for that goal. Bruno, another 8 for me. Thought he was magnificent in the
Hmm.
centre of the park. Sabitzer, probably another 8 for his performance at number 10. I think we're going to see more of that. Anthony, probably a 7. Everything but the finish today. He needs to work on varying his shots rather than constantly trying to curl it into the far corner. He could
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I think that is something that he will develop, and it will be interesting to see next season as well. Maybe with a different right back playing behind him, or with an actual focal point in the box. If he had somebody to pick out, it would be nice, even if he does like to cut in, to maybe float one in instead of just going for that corner.
Yeah, and Frimpong is mouthwatering, isn't he? Just how
Yeah,
offensive he is.
yeah, yeah.
He's going to get goals as well as assists. That guy.
hmm
So imagine him on the overlap with Anthony. It would be mouthwatering
Yeah, that would
prospect.
be quite something, wouldn't it? Because then, yeah, you negate the fact that Anthony always likes to cut inside. If Frimpong's on the outside, it gives us that outlet.
Yeah, he could definitely be our Trent Alexander-Arnold, Frimpong, if he comes in.
Mm.
Um, so Anthony a 7, Jane Sancho. I'll give him a 7. He got the assist. An all round a decent performance. Not an electric performance, but
No,
yeah,
but a good stepping stone for him. Something he can build on.
yeah. Hopefully, there's more to come from him between now and the end of May. Or June. The FA Cup final is in June. So if we make that, then our season's going to extend into the summer. Um, and Rashford, probably give him a 7 for his performance today. Unfortunately, went off injured at the end.
Yeah.
Um, the substitutes didn't come on to. Well, Martial came on. He scored, so he,
hmm
he played 30 odd minutes. So he would get a 7 for his cameo, and the rest of them didn't play that much. Although I have to say, Ericsson was really showing us what we've missed in the last few months, with that passing range. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing him back in the starting 11 very soon. And Ten Hag would get a 7 for today as well. He picked the 11, and they went out there and did the job. And the first half performance was probably one of the best of the season. I think the only first half performance that was probably better than that was Spurs at home, I think. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
very.
absolutely. I was pleasantly surprised by that first half. I didn't think we'd take the game to them the way we did, and the way just on the counter and stuff that we were tearing them apart.
Yeah, their goal was living a charmed life in that first half, wasn't it?
I mean, I'll tell you what, Jordan Pickford earned every penny of his wages this week.
Yeah, he's a strange character, isn't he? Whenever McTominay scored, then he's sitting laughing to himself and all. I don't really understand him at times, but yeah, he's England's number one, isn't he? And he's Everton's number one, and he could be available in the summer if Everton go down.
Mm.
There's lots happening down at
I,
that
I
end.
could I could potentially I can see him at Tottenham. I
Yeah,
think
you know,
Lloris's days are numbered.
you're the second person to say that to me today.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take a quick look at some of the what's going on at the moment in the Premier League. Obviously, we want Brentford to get a result against Newcastle. We want Spurs and Brighton probably a draw, and it is a draw at the moment. It's one each. Um, Lewis Dunk and Son Young-min. Um, West Ham are winning against Fulham. Oh, they need to win big time, don't they? And they
Mm.
were absolutely spanked by Newcastle the other night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Capitulation.
And guess what? Chelsea are losing again.
Oh wow, who are they playing today?
Wolves,
Wolves. Oh wow, are they at home? Is that the bridge?
Wolves at home,
Oh, Wolves at home.
and
Okay,
Mateus Nunes with the goal,
nice.
um, and Bournemouth are winning at Leicester. Um,
Oh,
j-
that's a big game that because they're both in the relegation zone, aren't
yeah, massive game. And Villa and Forest still currently 0-0.
they?
Have you heard the links? Now this would be a romantic comeback that Martin O'Neill could come back to Leicester.
Oh wow, that would be a real throwback.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he had a very fruitful spell at Leicester at the turn of the century. I'm pretty sure he led them to a League Cup as well.
He
Uh,
did. Yeah, he
this
did.
this would have been back when he had like a very young Emil Heskey.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, he was
And
always quite a tidy manager, Martin O'Neill. I don't know
Muzzy,
how old he is now. I just assumed he probably retired.
I think he's mid 60s now at least.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Remember the Leicester team and Muzzy, is it? No.
Yeah, yeah, Steve Guppy and Lennon and those guys.
Yeah, and Robbie Savage.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. he could well end up back there again. Like he had a good career at Leicester. He obviously did well with them. They won the League
Aston
Cup.
Villa as well. He had a good
Yeah,
little spell at Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, they were very close to qualifying for the Champions League.
Yeah, yeah, it was
I
probably the
think
best Villa I've seen. Actually, it was under him.
yeah, it
Um,
was Ashley Young, Apollinahour, John Carew, James
Stuart
Milner.
Downing,
Yeah, was it?
and at one point they had Darren Bent as well, but I'm not sure if he was there for that or if it was after he left. But yeah,
Yeah, it was a really good. They gave us a really good game in that match where Makeda had to score the late winner.
yeah, yeah. Makeda had a knack for just scoring against them. I remember. I remember there was the dramatic one at Old Trafford where we picked up all 3 points, and then there was one at Villa Park. I think it might have finished 2-2. I remember we went down 2 goals.
Yeah, I think he scored, and Vidic might have scored in that game as well.
Yeah, yeah, and we brought it back. I think we drew in the end, but yeah, Makeda had a knack for scoring against them.
Yeah, I think we were 2-0 down in that game, and then we
Hmm.
drew two each. I think that was the season 2011, 2010, 11. I think it was that season.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, Martin O'Neill, and obviously at Celtic, he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He won everything there is to win domestically, but he also got them to the UEFA Cup final against Porto, and they
Hmm.
were defeated by Mourinho's Porto in that
Yeah, yeah.
2003 final.
2003. Yeah.
People dubbed it as the Henrik Larsson versus Mourinho UEFA Cup final. It was 3-2 after extra time. That was unfortunate because it'd be nice to see like a team like Celtic winning a European trophy.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we
I
haven't
mean,
done.
they've got a history in Europe as well. I think they were the first British team, I think, to do the
That's
treble
right. Yeah, and the first
under
British
Jock
team.
Stein, 67.
Yeah, it was the year before we won it for the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
yeah, they've got some pedigree, Celtic.
so we've gone off on a complete tangent there. So back to the present day. Just quickly touch on the Sevilla game. What we want to do something similar to what we did against Betis, don't we? We want to blow them away in the first leg.
Absolutely. I haven't seen too much of Sevilla, so I can't comment. I've just been keeping up with like their league table, and in the league, they're not doing that good.
No,
So make of that what you will. We've beaten Betis, who are way higher up the league. So if that's any indication, not that it should be a walkover, but we should be beating them, is what I'm saying.
the, yeah, Betis are their rivals, as Robbie Keane would say. Um, and so another trip, we may as well just stay in
Just move
Spain
to
and play
Spain,
football.
yeah.
Yeah, and Seville in particular. Um,
Uh,
Last night they drew two each at home to Celta Vigo, and the two men sent off Sevilla. Um,
okay.
so unfortunately, that doesn't mean anything because this.
Yeah, obviously it's a league ban, isn't it? Unfortunately, that doesn't carry over.
Yeah, yeah, Papa Gueye and Marcus Acuna were sent off. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's definitely a team that we should be beating, if we're being honest about it, because they are 13th in the table, and we've
Yeah.
already beaten first and fifth. So surely we can beat the team in 13th.
Yeah, yeah. A bit of a scout watching mission as well. They've got a centre half who's 20 years old, who's French, who I'm interested in seeing a bit more of. He came from
Yeah,
Bayern Munich, and I know Bayern's recruitment is quite good when it comes to young players. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out there. So want to keep an eye on. I think his name is
yeah,
Tanguy Nianzu.
yeah, and that would be a perfect rotational option for Varane and Martinez, a young defender.
Exactly, yeah. Someone who's raw and who doesn't mind being on the bench a bit and whatnot. Who you can
Yeah,
take your time developing.
yeah, like a Johnny Evans or a Piqué, that
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
player.
and the fact that he's French as well, and then who better to learn off than Varane?
Oh yeah, definitely, he'll take him under his wing.
Yeah,
Um, so we'll wrap it up there for today. If everyone could please like the video, subscribe to the podcast, and comment more of your thoughts down below. And I will see you again next week then, Brush.
yeah, definitely. Take care.